take us back to that day, man. How did it start out? Were you trophy hunting that day, or did you just stumble across that big fish? Like, just kind of walk us through how it all took place.
Actually, we were trophy hunting. That time period, I was fishing 2 to 3 times a week with my buddy Brad, and it got to the point where, and I'm really not trying to brag, but it was a great fishing time in San Diego. We just started taking turns on whatever trophy fish we got. So we were bed fishing the super clear lakes in San Diego that are trout fed. And during March and April, it's like soup plantation for giant bass at certain times. So we were heading down the shoreline at Lake Marimar. He had gotten the last big fish was at Lake Poway, and that was about a 12.5-pound fish. And so my time was up. He was actually the one who ended up spotting the fish on the point in the Escondido arm, and it was about 15 feet deep. They spawn super deep out here. I don't know, what part of the country you're living in, but they spawn, especially the big ones, 15 to 20 feet deep. As long as the light's getting down there, it can be really hard to see them. And we literally saw this rock move, and that happened to be this massive fish. And at the time, we doubled back on it in the rental boat that we were in, and we had jigs set up, but we also kept with us crawdads, and at the time, live water dogs were legal in California. They've since changed the laws, but he kept a store of live crawdads and water dogs at his house, and so we would just take a bunch with us. We noticed this was a way bigger fish than, even the teeners that we were used to. And so ended up hooking up about a 12-inch live water dog and put it down. And within maybe a minute to 2 minutes, the thing inhaled it from about 3 feet away. So we knew it was, it was a different sort of beast. After the fish inhaled the bait, I was fishing 10-pound test on a quantum rod and reel combination. I don't remember the exact model of both, but it was right off the Tules. I don't know if you're familiar with Lake Marimar, but Lake Marimar is surrounded by Tules. Water plants similar to cattails that we have here in California. And the fish either could have gone into the Tules or gone deep. It ended up going deep, and I was very thankful for that. And it started ripping off drag. Immediately after that, after going deep, it came up, surfaced, and it jumped. And we both realized, oh my goodness, this is not the normal sort of double-digit fish that we are used to. This is a 15-plus fish. And it ended up jumping 2 more times during the fight, which lasted, several minutes. And eventually we ended up grabbing the fish. And, normally you can thumb a fish, and grab it by the jaw. This one we had to actually grab overhand in the jaw. And it was like grabbing onto a dowel of wood. That's how big the jaw was around. Pulled the fish out of the water, and we both just erupted in laughter, yelling, screaming, and everything. Just could not believe the quality of fish that we ended up catching. And at the time, there was a float tuber fishing shiners in the same arm. And he looked up at us and he said, wow, that's a nice fish. That's probably 7 or 8 pounds. And we looked up at him and said, are you high? And he just kind of looked at us and went, what? And we're like, this is way, way bigger than that. So we ended up taking the rental boat back to the dock where you get the rental boats from. And there was only one ranger working at the time. And we ended up finding the ranger knowing that we needed to weigh this thing up. and getting to the scale at the lake, and he helped us weigh it up. It ended up, 19 pounds, 4 ounces. And we were in shock. I mean, we knew it was big, but I didn't realize it was that big at the time. And so we asked the ranger, because this is the era before digital cameras, and we didn't always keep a camera with us. Do you happen to have a camera? And he's like, well, I've got a Polaroid up in the office. So he comes down, he snaps 2 Polaroids, one of which was on display at Lake Marimar for about 15 years after the catch. The other one I still have in my possession, and that's the photo that you guys have. If you notice on the right-hand side of the photo, there's a person kind of leaning off to the side. That's my buddy Brad, and I have to say it could have easily been him having this conversation right now. It just happened to be my turn at bat. We ended up measuring the fish. It measured out at 28 inches long and 28 inches around, an absolute beast. And we were so excited by this, but didn't want to stress it out. So after getting a couple of photos and being super excited, we ended up releasing it there at the boat dock. When I got home and the next day or two, as the information filtered around, I ended up getting calls from newspapers, magazines, all very upset that there were not more photos taken, because at the time it was the biggest fish caught in almost 10 years in the United States. And I think I made some people upset by that, but all around it was a pretty exciting time.